I call this edition of Central Florida Facilitators to order. I will be your acting sergeant at arms tonight, filling in for Charlie. If you need to use the restroom, that far door on that end, go out of it, take a left, take the first left, follow the hallway to the end, and you will see the restrooms conveniently located on the right-hand side. If you have a phone, make sure it's on silent and preferentially turn it off unless you're using it to take notes. At Toastmasters, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Through this mission, each Toastmaster gains a clear understanding of the club's purpose, and the organization as a whole benefits from a shared set of values and goals. Please help me welcome our thought and pledge leader this evening, Mr. Julian Cotto.
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant at Arms. It's amazing that after being at the beach and drinking all that beer that I still have a thought. But a wise person said that thoughts turn into beliefs, and beliefs turn into words, and words turn into actions, and actions determine your destiny. Please stand up, and as we face the flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now I will be stepping into the presidential role. Welcome to tonight's meeting. It's going to be a blast, as any time Julian has ever been Toastmaster. It's quite awesome. I was excited to get in the festive beach mode myself. Before we get started though, some orders of business. If you are in a leadership role and you have one of these, please pass it forward to somebody to evaluate you so they can work on being competent leaders or above. We have a guest this evening. Her name is Debbie Carruth, and we would like it, Debbie, if you wouldn't mind, if you'd stand up and share with us for 30 seconds how you found us and why you're here.
Well, there's this super awesome thing called Google. And if you Google Toastmasters Altamont Springs, this is one of 5 groups that come up. And this group happens to meet on Wednesday evenings, which is the time that I happen to have available. And I'm interested in Toastmasters because I want to improve my professional skills, from shaking hands to presenting my case. The end.
Debbie? Wow. That was really good. We welcome you. We're glad to connect with you, and you definitely came to the right place, as I personally could attest. We have some officers in the room. We typically have our meeting this week. We had some key players that are out of action, so we will have that next week, where we will start to plan our banquet and our future officer roles. Do we have any announcements from the floor that we need to get to before we move forward with this fun meeting tonight? Going once? Going twice, Gail? Thank you.
I don't know, do I
That was not meant to be funny. I knew she came in.
do I have an announcement that I don't know about?
Well, good. And once again, we really do appreciate everybody making it here on a Wednesday night. We recognize it probably took some sort of sacrifice. Without further ado, Julian Cotto has been associated with Toastmasters longer than he is willing to admit. He represents Toastmasters old school, having received his CTM way back in the day. He reestablished his relationship with Toastmasters with this club 3 years ago, and we're very thankful for that. Julian is a professional engineer. You know, he's one of those people who are personality free, excitement bypassed. And this man is a trend setter. Julian is a family man, and he has several families all around the globe to prove it. Tonight, he will show you that he is faster than a speeding turtle, able to leap tall anthills in a single bound, and he's willing to wear his man tanga to the beach party. Please help me welcome to the lectern our beach party animal, advanced communicator bronze, and tonight's Toastmaster, Julian Koda.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, John. You are so talented in ad-libbing stuff just like that. And also a family man. He also has several families to feed. Life is a beach, isn't it?
It is.
It's what you make it. It can be great. I mean, life really can be a beach all the time, right? And the best part about living in Florida is going to the beach in February. And as you bask in the sun, you have somebody take your picture, and then you send it to all your friends up in New York and say, man, life is a beach in Florida, isn't it? And then they will just want to come visit you all the time. So beach parties are fun. How many? I know there's some gray hairs in here, even though we all kind of keep it under the hat or disguise it very well. But how many remember beach party? Who was the king of beach party?
Well, I was going to say Annette Funicello.
Annette Funicello and?
Wasn't the king, but.
And who?
Frankie Avalon.
Frankie Avalon. There you go. Boy, when I was like 8 years old, that was beach party. That's what we grew up watching, beach party, and everybody doing the twist and the jerk, right? And we did the AM radio on the beach and drinking Coca-Cola. And it was a great time, and it was always there was an innocence about that time with all the gals in their two-piece bathing suits. Of course, now you go to the beach and some gals wear a lot less than a two-piece bathing suit, and some you just have to cover your eyes because you'll go blind by watching that stuff. And guys with their Speedos, right? I mean, can you imagine that guy still wearing Speedos? Ouch! As long as they don't put a sock in it, I'm okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a special treat tonight because I've got my man tanga under these shorts. And before the night's over, I'm going to reveal my wares to all of you. That's your special treat today. You're going to see Julian, the beach animal, in his man tanga, right? But we have a great evening, and somebody stole my agenda. Who would that be?
Sorry, Julian, that would be me, sir.
All right, the agenda. So tonight we have a great agenda. We have 2 speakers that will be competing for the grand prize of being the first, the most illustrious speaker of the night. And our first speaker is...
Functionaries?
What's that?
Functionaries.
Oh, and yes, I'm getting there. Our first speaker, what is the word of the, oh, I'm sorry.
Somebody's had a bit too much fun.
Got that right. Our first speaker, see?
You just want to reveal that.
I'm telling you, I'm getting nervous when I tell them that I have to get out there with my tongue, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so our first speaker is Llinda Earls, but before we introduce Llinda, we're going to hear from our functionaries this evening. And our first functionary that I will call will be our timer. Please introduce yourself.
The timer tonight. We have 2 speakers listed. Llinda will be speaking between 5 and 7 minutes, and Steve will be speaking 10 to 12 minutes for his speech. For those who are doing table topics and speaking, the timing is going to be between 1 and 2 minutes. Green light at 1 minute, yellow light at 1.5 minutes, and red light at 2 minutes. For those doing evaluations, timing will be 2 to 3 minutes, with the green light at 2, yellow light at 2.5, and red light at 3.
Thank you.
Yep.
And our grammarian, Alan Lanfear.
After a strong addition at last week's Voice, I will be reprising my role as a grammarian this evening for our beach party. And well, hey, it wouldn't be a beach party without the essential word, which is the word of the night, and it is cowabunga, which is an expression of surprise or amazement, often followed by do. So, for example, in a sentence, cowabunga, dude, this beach party is awesome. Or that would work too. This word originated as a greeting by Chief Thunderthud to the peanut gallery on the 50s television program, The Howdy Doody Show. The term was later adopted by so-called Southern California surfers in the 1960s and then repopularized by the cartoon characters Bart Simpson from The Simpsons and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the late 80s and early 90s. So, as a grammarian, I will be watching for colorful imagery and use of an exceptional vocabulary and grammar. I will suggest improvements in grammar as needed, and I will be on the watch for using the word of the day. So, if you have an opportunity to speak and you do not use the word, I will keep track and you will be fined 25 cents for anybody who does not use it. So, guests and members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined.
All I've got to say is cowabunga, dude, you did an awesome job. Yes, only 2 R's that I counted. And now our grammarian has spoken, and our next functionary is our illustrious all-counter who is sitting silently in the back, Sarah Hunt.
As our counter, it's my responsibility to keep track of audible crutches such as and double clutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for their next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words like and or so. And I will sound the buzzer when any of these infractions are heard. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not yet done their icebreaker will not be buzzed or fined, but I will keep track of their infractions. Please note that the buzzer is not meant to embarrass, but to give immediate feedback of an area that needs improvement.
Thank you. And now, last but not least, our supervisor of elections, please stand up and tell us what you do.
Thank you. I'm the vote counter today, and I will pick up your ballots for the best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for the speakers or any meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Debbie, as a guest, there's a ballot and you're allowed to vote for whoever you feel is the best speaker, table topic, so on and so forth. Okay, don't be shy. You know, when I was a kid, we were so poor that the only thing we could afford to do is go to the beach. So what beach did we used to go to? Well, down in Miami, we used to go to Crandon Park. Why? Again, we were so poor, we couldn't even afford to buy a bat to play baseball. So we would make a bat out of a 2x4, right? And then we would make balls out of whatever we could muster or steal them out of Woolworth or whatever, you know. And you don't, when you're a kid with no money, sometimes you do go to Woolworth and things just happen to fall in your pocket, and that's the way it goes. So now we're at the best part, not the best, but a good part of our meeting. And it is time to introduce Llinda Earls. Llinda, it will be speaking from project number 1 of Speech to Inform. Last week, we were graced with an excellent speech about fear. Llinda Earls would like to tackle frustration tonight. The world doesn't always work the way we want it to. The feeling of being an adult but wanting to react like a toddler when we don't get our way describes Llinda's topic. Her speech is titled, Rocky Balboa Overcame, and you can too. I use your other word. Oh.
Thank you.
Welcome, Llinda.
Everyone here has been frustrated at some time in their life. You can probably relate to my position in finding a job, very frustrating. None of you have even known me when I was gainfully employed. It has been a year, a total year that I've been looking. And tomorrow is my birthday. I'll be 54. And that compounds the job hunting situation, as I should be building a retirement, not digging into my savings. I would like to discuss how to overcome frustration tonight, and here are my suggestions. Distraction, discovery, distaste for disaster, disown despair, and finally a disclaimer. Dis is the way you do it. Rocky Balboa. Distraction is a powerful technique. The trick is to pick something that you can incorporate in your life without ruining your health, your marriage, or your relationship to the good Lord. That lets out most things people choose to dive into. I found a harmless diversion in scrapbooking. I took some pictures that I have of children that I sponsor in other countries, and I arranged them in a pleasing way in a book. And when I look through the book, it builds me up because I feel like I'm a decent human being that can help someone else, and it raises my spirits. I also made a book of the rewards that I received in Toastmasters. And perusing this makes me feel important, and it reminds me that I can do things well. I also, my cruises and vacations are immortalized in a scrapbook, and I can thumb through them, and it reminds me of all my wonderful adventures of cave tubing and ocean kayaking. And Toastmasters itself is a powerful distraction. Thinking of going somewhere on a regular basis, seeing people that you know, writing and practicing speeches, and going to competitions, all is time not spent worrying about your frustrations. The list of distractions is limitless, and it can enrich your life. Discovery. It came to me that I may not have an opportunity again for a pause. My parents are getting up in age, and I spent the day with them more times this winter than I've ever been able to. Learning about yourself during a time of frustration keeps it valuable. You can completely change your path. I joined a gym that I thought I didn't have enough time to attend, and truth be told, no matter how much time I have on my hands, I will probably never, ever be a gym rat. It's discovery. I can walk and do other things. I can go bowling by myself. Cowabunga, I can go surfing. Another discovery I made is no matter how much time I have, I will probably never be a perfect housekeeper. I did get some home improvement projects finished, and I organized some areas in my home. I still don't deserve my good housekeeping subscription. This taste for disaster. I came to a place where I can have more compassion on other job seekers. This is the first time I really had to struggle to find a job. I spend Wednesday mornings unloading trucks for the food our church gives out on Sundays. I've served sporadically at soup kitchens before, but this is the first time I could really relate to not having enough. I understand firsthand about the Affordable Care Act. I experienced trouble announced on the news with the difficulties of the unemployment website. I always have given to people begging in intersections. Now I say, hey, I've been out of work too. And hopefully this encourages folks. Disown despair by catching yourself when you're ruminating about worst case scenarios. It's not easy to nip worry in the bud. One trick I have found, I bought a foot massager and a handheld back massager that you can prop up in the chair. It seems that between your shoulder blades is the place that frustration settles in, and it's pretty hard to feel negative when your circulation picks up and you feel that relaxation coming over you. The same effect can be had if you take a brisk walk. The chemicals in your brain start pumping, and your outlook quite naturally takes an upward bend. The disclaimer for this evening: these techniques were not scientifically designed or tested. I made them all up. This is my best point though. You have to reach down inside yourself and develop things that work for you. Frustration will come. You have to pick up your dukes and fight it off. Distract yourself with things that won't kill you or get you arrested. Discover yourself, what's important to you, what your real priorities are, and develop a distaste for disaster. Steer clear from the rocks with a new appreciation for those who have shipwrecked. Disown despair. Be positive, so positive folks roll their eyes. Picture success. You can do it. I can do it. I will do it. Thank you.
Thank you for that inspiring speech, Llinda. Now the timer, please give us a minute on the clock so that we can give opportunity to the audience to write comments to our speaker, Llinda Earls. Thank you, Mr. Tyler. Now, going back to, I've lived in Miami most of my life, and literally 15 minutes from the beach. And I've gone to all the beaches along the eastern coast and most of the beaches along the western coast. And one of the most beautiful beaches, even before when I was a kid, South Beach used to be the old people's beach, because all the retired people from New York settled in South Beach. But the beach is absolutely beautiful. It's got that white sugar sand, whereas you go further north along like to Hollywood Beach and so on, the sand gets really coarse and it's more shelly. It's not that nice, soft sugar sand, not quite as fine as you find on the west coast of Florida. But on the eastern coast, it's one of the best. And the jewel, they say, of all the beaches on the eastern coast is Singer Island, which is right off of Heron Boulevard in West Palm Beach. I lived in West Palm Beach for a couple of years, so I used to go to Singer Island quite often riding my bike. And now as we continue with our speeches, our next speaker is Stephen Morgan. Our last speaker this evening, oh, that's not it? No. Well,
choose one.
Okay. This is our second speaker this evening, for those of you that have only 2 fingers. Stephen first joined Toastmasters in 1997 as a charter member of the Harris Speakeasy Club in Melbourne, Florida. The next year, he was elected president of the club, but after 4 months, a job change took him to Dallas, Texas. It took Stephen a year to find a Toastmasters club to join, and in that time, he lost his first competent communicator manual. A year later, job changes brought Stephen back to Florida, where he joined Omni Toastmasters and finally completed his CC manual in 2002, 5 years after he joined Toastmasters. In October 2002, Stephen joined the Lake Mary Toastmasters, and a year later he joined the Central Florida Facilitators, his beloved club, as he says. He has been a member of both clubs continually ever since. Stephen also helped charter and mentor the Safe Words Toastmasters Club in 2011. As a member of these 6 clubs over his 16 years in Toastmasters, Stephen has served as a club officer many times and is currently our own Vice President of Public Relations right here at CFF, as well as President at Lake Mary Toastmasters. He's a 2-timer. He has also competed in many speech contests, 167 to date. Golly, Calabanga! But the closest Stephen has come to a championship is a 2nd place finish in the District 84 International Speech Contest in 2011. Despite these accomplishments, Stephen is still not a distinguished Toastmaster. But his wife is! He has finished all the requirements except for one, serving as a district officer. And why, you may ask? Well, Stephen says, keep asking. For the answers we seek are found in that very question, why? Please welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold Stephen Morgan with his keynote address this evening, Loquo, Ergo, Sum. Please help me welcome Stephen Morgan.
Once upon a time, a young man had a dream. At 25 years old, he wanted to build something new, something great, something everyone could use. He started building it, and it was working. And after a little while, it was torn down. But undeterred, he decided he would try again. And a few years later, he started building yet again. And he got to a point where it was doing so well and he could see the vision he had envisioned. But then it too fell down. And a few years later, he tried again and he built it up and he built it even bigger. But it was torn down. And again, a fourth time he built it up, even bigger. And it fell down. On his fifth try, he built the vision that he had been working on for so long, and he built it to the point where it stayed standing. But he was no longer a young man. Over 20 years had gone by. But he had finally accomplished what he had intended to build. That man is Ralph Smedley. And what he built was Toastmasters International. How do you keep working at something for 20 years when you have failed all those times? Smedley had his vision, but we have visions, but you can only go so far when things keep falling apart and you want to change or give up. What I believe really drove him along was simply the philosophy that he already had, and that he simply followed what he believed. And that's why he kept building and kept trying until finally he got everyone to agree with him on the philosophy. And what he built continued on. Today, as we're at 90 years past that time, that Toastmasters International formed, there are many philosophies involved within the structure of Toastmasters, within individual clubs, within the districts, within Toastmasters International as a whole. And I've seen these philosophies play out, some within Toastmasters and some outside. And in actuality, I see competing philosophies occurring. One of those competitions of philosophies I actually saw first occur when I was back in college. I had started an organization, a computer organization, because we had a philosophy of what we wanted to accomplish. Actually, our initial formation involved very different competing philosophies, as well as different competing personalities, and we didn't really like each other. That makes for a hard organization to run. What ended up happening that first year is we got pretty much nothing done. I was president, the other two officers pretty much hated me. What we provided was the very lowest level we could agree on, which was a few services to friends that we had. But I had a bigger idea that I wanted to push forward. And with the election that came that following year, with a lot of help from my friends, the officers changed. And in that second year, we had the same philosophy. And that idea was we can have fun doing this. We dragged in all the people that we enjoyed spending our time with, and our meetings became in many ways just a social gathering. But we enjoyed it. We all looked forward to it every week. And then I wanted to push it further. I wanted to say, we can do more, because amongst us, we know a lot of information that many people want to learn. Let's teach them. We can do it. We started teaching classes about how to use the computer systems on campus, as well as other software programs people enjoyed using. We found that there was a demand. We had people coming to the classes. We started making money. Then the university got the idea, we can do this better than you, and shut us down. But as it turned out, the classes were incidental to what we were there for. We are all there to enjoy ourselves and then realize we can also make a difference. We had a social orientation, a philosophy that what we were had a social goal. First, it was just to socialize, but then to actually help with society. Whereas originally the philosophy we were dealing with was we just have this basic one thing we want to do that everyone gets to use, almost like a professional style organization. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to socialize with each other. We're there to do our job, which we will all gain a benefit from. And those competing philosophies is why that first year didn't go anywhere. But when we came to the same philosophy, we soared high. Ralph Smedley has written about his philosophies on many occasions. You'll find many of them in the quotes if you look them up. One of the key ones you'll hear and see very often, a very pithy one. We learn best in moments of enjoyment. That's why it's more fun to learn from the game than it is to sit there and listen to the lecture. But there's also another more interesting one. The simple fact is that we grow or learn or work better when we enjoy what we are doing. And that is essentially the secret of success in Toastmasters. Our meetings are made enjoyable by a fine, helpful fellowship and a pleasant social atmosphere with activities carefully planned. So we are social and we like to have fun, but that doesn't mean we don't have structure. We have a lot of it. Social versus professional, one competing set of philosophies. A second competing set, an egalitarian versus an authoritarian. Now you're probably quite familiar with any authoritarian organization, anyone who's ever worked in a corporation. You have someone who's above you. There are some people who may be below you. Direction comes from above, work is done down below. The obvious choice will be a military organization where the orders come from above and you do what you're told. Because the military can't sit there and wait for you to go, why? We are a volunteer organization. I don't get to turn around and say, you're fired, get out. I don't get to turn around to any of the speakers and say, you're not allowed to say that. Or I hated what you say, get out of here. I can't make anyone leave, no matter if I hold an office or not. No one else can make me leave. I could drive you out by making you very uncomfortable. But if you intend to stay, I can't stop it. We're all on equal footing. It doesn't matter how long you've been in Toastmasters. It doesn't matter what educational level you've reached. It doesn't matter what office you hold. If the international president walked in here, he's no better and will get no more authority than the rest of us. That's what an egalitarian organization will be like. Egalitarian organizations work well at the small level, but only to a certain point. Because once you get to a certain point and there are too many people involved, it essentially becomes a competing of personalities. Some people want the authority, some people don't want the authority. There's a power shift and an authority structure will come into place. It may be informal, it may be formalized. Therefore, Toastmasters International as an organization does have a hierarchy. Our club is within a district. Our district is part of Toastmasters International. The International Board does set goals, it does set the constitutions that all the clubs use, and it sets the money that the districts get to use. That structure is there. But that doesn't mean we aren't an egalitarian organization, because when we walk into the club, we're all on equal footing. A third set of competing philosophies is the individual versus the collective. I've seen this one play out in Toastmasters most often when it comes to the Distinguished Club program. Whereas Toastmasters International has told us, here are your 10 goals every club is supposed to meet every year. So every club has these 10 goals that are set. And if we meet them, we'll get this ribbon. This ribbon, it's really cool. It means, well, what does it mean? To some people, it's just this piece of cloth hanging there. When a new person comes in and visits our club, do you think they care how many ribbons are on the banner? Do you think that they care about the Distinguished Club program? Why should they care about it? They came into here because they had their own goals. They came in here to learn how to speak better, to communicate better, perhaps to learn those leadership skills, or just simply to get better at public speaking altogether. The ribbons don't do anything about that. When people try to get up and get people motivated and interested in the Distinguished Club program, this is when you'll notice their philosophies and how they come out. Because when people get up here and say, we have this goal that's been given to us, let's go and make that goal yay team, they're going for the collective. They think in terms of a collective. They want to be a part of a collective. That's their philosophy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't mean that everyone else in the room shares it. Personally, I don't. And many other people may be different. So when you get up here and go yay team, if only 3 people on your team are going yay, how far are you going to get? Or maybe you want to turn around and appeal to the individual philosophy as well. What do you get for it? What can you gain from helping us achieve the DCP? Those competing philosophies I've seen collide throughout Toastmasters in all the clubs over the years. Ralph Smedley encountered it in a different way. He put it this way: Toastmasters is based on belief in the individual. Many organizations ask the individual to subordinate himself to the group. Ours is the only organization I know dedicated to the individual. We work together to bring out the best in each of us, and then we apply these skills to help others. I personally, in those conflicts, take the individual over the collective, the egalitarian over the authoritarian, and the social over the professional. Not everyone has to be the same. That is the way I look at it. When I look at Smedley's philosophies, they look the same to me. But from his philosophies came his cause. They were his beliefs, they built into his cause to build what we have today. Hence the mission of the club as it is, and his view of what Toastmasters could do overall. While most of us have entered Toastmasters to learn to make speeches, that benefit is but the beginning of the good which may come to us and the good which we may do for mankind. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you for that inspirational speech, Stephen. And now please, timer, a minute on the clock. Please turn the red light off while the audience gets an opportunity to give the speaker their comments. Thank you. Now, Mr. Timer, will you please give us a timer's report?
Cowabunga, dude! Both speakers have qualified. Llinda Earls came in at 6 minutes and 47 seconds. Stephen Morgan spoke for 12 minutes and 29 seconds. So both of them are capable of achieving the award.
Now, if you would please vote for who you feel did the better job of speaking, and our vote counter will be by to pick it up. And while he's picking up those votes, I would like to introduce my good friend, Gail Hill-Smith, who will give us an educational moment. Mr. Timer, please give us 3 minutes on the clock.
Okay.
Thank you. Educational moment could not have been at a better juncture in our meeting. Thank you for stalling and not putting me up front. And why do I say that? You have just heard 12 minutes about Toastmasters. And I attended this past weekend the District 84 conference. I am, as did Stephen, Susan, and I am so, not upset, yeah, everybody has their life, but you missed so much. The theme was all around Broadway. They had all sorts of outrageous props, the costumes galore, the themes of Broadway. So what's the significance and tie-in to the educational moment? Stephen had mentioned how old this organization is. And I think many people who join the organization, they go through their 10 projects of the competent communicator, their projects for the competent leadership, and I think that's the end of Toastmasters world. It's not. Those of you who know me in the club know that I had received my DTM just this past 6 months at the last conference. For our guest, DTM is a distinguished Toastmaster. Doesn't mean anything to you. But 15 years in the making for me. And I was
Cowabunga.
I know, cowabunga. Do that. Do that. And my name was called on 3 different occasions, and I didn't know why. But I came to get 2 pens. As Stephen mentioned, it's not so much about the ribbons. It's not about these pins. It's about what we gain, the friends we make in this organization that made possible through the vision of Ralph Smedley. And this conference could not have been more timely for us, Central Florida facilitators. Our president mentioned that elections are coming up, mentioned that we're going to be having a banquet next month. These are all opportunities for you to not only continue in your leadership track by raising your hand to take an office position, raise your hand to consider chairing this event. But it is also a time for those of you who are trying to achieve the next level in your communication or your leadership to fulfill your obligations for the club, for our distinguished president's plan. So get on board, get pumped up, and just remember it's cowabunga, dudes, let's do it.
And dudettes.
And dudettes, yes.
Thank you, Gail, for that inspirational educational moment.
I was going to whip out my advanced manuals, but I ran out of time.
And now we come to the fun part of the evening. Table topics. where we get challenged with a topic that we know not what it is. And we have to speak for 2 minutes. And I would like to introduce our table topics master, who is doing an impromptu. So my hat's off to one of my favorite people and my favorite redhead, and a person that needs no introduction, because she didn't give me one. The antithesis of an engineer, somebody that does have personality, somebody that isn't excitement. She's full of excitement, isn't she? And she is a trendsetter. Please help me welcome our table topic.
Beachwear, so everybody better get on board here. Table topics. Most everyone in this room knows what table topics are, but for our guests, it is our impromptu speaking section. What happens is I will ask a question or make a statement, and the people will have 1 minute to stand up and give a response, a little story, a little speech, as you might call it. And that's how we practice our impromptu speaking skills, because as we know, you need them sometimes. So I am going to go ahead and start. Or do I want to go with this one? Okay. If money were no object, what kind of beach party would you throw? Charlie.
Madam Table Topic Master, if money were no object, I would throw one hell of a beach party. Because I would rent a big yacht. And we would go to some isolated island with plenty of these and Coronas and party hats and balloons and have a great old time watching everybody get drunk and dancing. Because that's the best fun about beach parties. Dancing when you're drunk. Not seeing plenty of people dancing. But the best, really the best part would be the enjoyment that you would get with being with your friends. And I think that is second to none. And I wish that light would come on, because I'm really running out of material. Will you hurry up already?
It's on now.
Beach parties are for everyone. There's no exceptions. Madam Table Topic Master.
Okay. What are the must-haves for the beach or a beach party, and why? Gail, are you an evaluator? No? Then Gail.
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. The must-haves at a beach party?
Yes.
It definitely would not be someone like me in a two-piece bathing suit. I am what you call a closet bikini wearer. And I say that from honesty from the mouths of my babes. At the rough age of, I think my daughter was 8, my son therefore 5, we have gone to the Keys. They want me to get a two-piece, a bikini. And I said, no, I've given birth to you two. It transforms a figure-8 figure into a snowball figure. And it would not be really a visual you want to see. Oh, come on, Mom, come on, Mom. So I appealed to their urging. I went into the dressing room. I whipped on a two-piece. I opened up the drapes, and all of I got was a oh no! So that was, let's see, 25, 30 years ago, and I have not ever put on a two-piece, at least in public or at a party that I may have had at my pool. So that's one thing not to have at a party, is me in a bathing suit. Another thing is not to bring along somebody who does not want to have fun. Have you ever been to a party where you have the real honest-to-goodness wallflower? I mean, they just are not for a party. I mean, yeah. So if you're ever invited to a party, dish or disc the wallflower. Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you. Okay, what is your favorite beach and why? This could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be Florida. Your favorite beach anywhere. Mark.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. My favorite beach would have to be New Smyrna Beach, even though I have never been there. I hear about it every day on the radio. Shark attack, New Smyrna Beach. Young girl bitten by shark, New Smyrna Beach. And I think to myself, that sounds like a very exciting place to go. So when my daughter came to me last week and said, Dad, we're taking a Pathfinder's road trip to New Smyrna Beach, I said, have fun, but take your shark repellent. Because this is the time of year when sharks like to feast on little girls and boys. And I think I may have scared her a little too much. However, it was an uneventful time. She brought back many pictures of them playing in the surf, and I would scan the background of the pictures looking for little fins or things like that. I didn't see anything like that, so it was a safe event. The weather in New Smyrna Beach, I always hear, is either sunny and 90 or hurricane. This time of the year, it's sunny. So I hope to get my family down there pretty soon and experience it firsthand. But for me, even though I've never been there, I would have to say New Smyrna Beach. Now,
Let's see. What was the best beach party you ever went to and why? Jonathan.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Fellow Toastmasters, most distinguished guests, the best beach party that I ever went to. Guess what? I don't remember it. And that is precisely why it is the best beach party I ever went to. The sketchy details that I do remember. Toni, is your heart beating right now at an increased rate? Wondering what I might say next? There was some forensics surrounding me. The crabs were actually carrying him around. But to me, they did appear to be G-string bikinis. And I was surrounded by a couple of empty bottles of Crown Royal. If you know me, Crown Royal is pretty much the one and only thing that I actually will partake in. And I know from a subconscious standpoint, when I've been in the midst of my dreams at night, there were some incredible visions that I was surrounded by. And I can only assume that they came from that fateful evening at Llinda Beach. For those of you that are familiar with this area, you know what Llinda Beach is. Madam Table Topics Master.
It appears that I am out of time. So I will move on. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Susan, for stepping into the role of the precarious role of Table Topics Master. One of the, is it time? What?
Time
Oh,
report.
I'm sorry. You are absolutely right. Please, Mr. Timer, give us a timer's report.
Charlie, if money were no object, spoke for 1 minute and 9 seconds. He qualifies. Gail, party must-haves, including the two-piece bikini, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. She qualifies. I spoke about shark attacks at New Smyrna Beach for 1 minute and 9 seconds. And Jonathan spoke about the best beach party for 1 minute and 27. Cowabunga, everybody qualified.
All right, now if please vote for the person you feel did the best job of dealing with their table topics. I'm speechless. Okay, so while you are voting and while our vote counter is picking up those all-important votes, if you must go to a beach in Florida, I would encourage you guys to visit South Beach at some point. Especially nowadays, it has been transformed, and it's not only really nice, they've cleaned it up, they've kicked all the old people out. They just came in with bulldozers. I mean, they just picked them up and threw them away. Terrible. And then they put up all these, no, I tell you, they did not. One thing that they did well is they kept the Art Deco architecture of the beach, which is the 1920s architecture with the pinks and the blues and all those types of colors, and also the architectural facades of the buildings. You're not allowed to change them. And if you really want, to watch people that actually look really good in tangas and Speedos and things like that, that is the place to go. So I would encourage you to do that. And also, Singer Island's got a beautiful beach. If you've never been there, go by there one time. It's not very busy, and it's really a gorgeous beach. And my favorite beach is Clearwater Beach. And I've been going there probably for the last 15 years. We go there every summer, and I've got a lot of tales because all my kids grew up since they were very little. We were going to, I guess, Sand Pearl or whatever. I guess that's what it's called now. We've been going to that same beach for 15 years, and what we love about it, it's got a huge expanse of white sugar sand and just a gorgeous setting. And now the next part of our meeting is the evaluation portion, where some of our members will give their opinion on the speeches, and it's really a coaching time for our members to learn how to be good coaches and also provide feedback to our speakers. And to lead the charge from now, at this point of the meeting, is our general evaluator. And a huge piece in our personal growth is when we learn to effectively listen. With listening, we are able to assess, analyze, and align ourselves with growth. I thought eating did that. The next portion of this evening's event is our listening, watching, and tune-up phase. It is where we learn, do, and relearn. We call it the evaluation stage. Here to introduce our speech evaluators this evening and to evaluate the meeting as a whole is our own club president, Jonathan Harry Dunn the Third.
Cowabunga Toastmaster dudes! As GE tonight, I will be evaluating the meeting as a whole and making suggestions for future improvements. First, however, I will be introducing our two evaluators who will be working with our speakers on going from good to great to simply fabulous. Toni G has been a member of Central Florida Facilitators since 2004. Today, she is 6 months post-op on a total left hip replacement. After giving a speech next week, she will complete a Competent Communicator Award and start preparing herself for, no, not a trip to the beach, but a right knee replacement in June or July, becoming our first bionic Toastmasterette. Hopefully this bionic woman will be back together again before the summer is over. Evaluating the speech of Llinda Earls, please welcome our evaluator, DTM Toni G.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, Debbie, and especially Llinda. Cowabunga, dudette! This was a great example of how to give an effective, informative speech. I hope you all were paying attention. I believe you may have memorized the objectives of this project because you fulfilled them 100%. Nice job. What did she do well? Let's take this apart and analyze it. First of all, you knew what you were going to say. You knew your first line, you knew your opening, and you looked at the audience. If you had been down like this, you would have lost us right away. But no, we were right in there with you. You mentioned frustration. You actually brought us into the picture by saying, everyone here has been frustrated. Yeah, but let's not go there, was what I was thinking. But you came up with some humor and a very clear, very organized way to help us relieve our frustration. Not only that, you shared a tremendous amount about yourself and your personal story. And I would say that is one of the things that made this speech most effective. But this was relevant to all of us in some way. We could see ourselves, picture ourselves going through the frustration and maybe identifying with some of the techniques that you suggested. You had a distinct opening, body, and conclusion. One of the things I want to suggest to you, though, to make this even more effective in the future, is your opening. I liked it, I was with you, but it could have been a little more powerful. So how would you do that? Punch it! Use your voice, a little vocal variety. You could ask a question. Are you as frustrated as I am right now? Now they're in. They can say yes, they can say no, but with your voice, with a gesture, you've gotten their attention. That's a little loud for you, but just kick it up a notch, and you'll have our attention a little bit better. Then, instead of saying, I would like to discuss how to tackle frustration, although I like that you said tackle frustration because it was very active, how about this expert, frustrated person has come up with a 5-step approach to help you tackle your frustration. So something like that. It's a little more entertaining, and you were entertaining, and you were interesting, and it was enjoyable to listen to. But I think that'll give you a little bit extra edge to enroll your audience into listening, participating, and being motivated to leave here and put that into practice, which was also part of the requirements. Overall, this was outstanding, Llinda. I think it was really one of your best speeches. It was so organized, your humor was effective, and with that, girlfriend, I'm going to sit down and listen some more.
Thank you, Toni. Fine job as always. Very fine job. Our next evaluator's favorite place to rip the waves, like Mark, is New Smyrna Beach. When he is not there, he can be found windsurfing on the Banana River or just hanging out with his toes in the sand and a beer in his hand. Speaking of hands, please join me in putting your hands together and giving a big kahuna welcome as he evaluates the speech of Mr. Stephen Morgan. To the front of the room, James Riggs.
Before I begin, I must have full disclosure to our guests. This is just a prop, it is empty. There are 1,000 reasons that are positive reasons to join Toastmasters, but open container is not one of them. Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, our honored guests, and most specifically, Stephen Morgan. Loquo, Ergo sum. I speak, therefore I am. Outstanding and challenging topic that you have today. But that's appropriate because you're an outstanding and accomplished speaker. I love the introduction with that story when you said once upon a time, and you told us about this young man who had a lot of challenges to overcome. I thought it was artful, although maybe not intentionally done, how it tied into Llinda's speech. The perseverance that's necessary to ultimately accomplish a goal. You established rapport with the audience from the newest member when you spoke about these ribbons, how they may or may not be relevant. And you went even further and you touched a nerve with the people who are most seasoned in the room. You spoke about very complicated, differing philosophies that an organization such as this goes through, how they can benefit and how they can tear apart. I thought that your verbal and your nonverbal communication were solid and they expressed self-assurance, but that is something that I've come to expect in my short time watching you give speeches. Now, one issue that I do have is presented in the manual. One of the objects says, asks, did the speaker use appropriate humor to create a lightness of spirit in meeting the audience expectations? If that occurred, I didn't notice it, and I think it would have been beneficial because it could have helped hang on to us emotionally. It would have helped with the high highs and the low lows. There was certainly an overriding sense of inspiration that I got. And as I looked around the room, you had everyone else inspired. You gave great reminders and lessons for some of us when you said we grow, we learn, we do more when we enjoy what we are doing. I was also inspired by your strong closing when you continued with the inspiration and you said that Toastmasters can serve for the good of the individual and for the good of man. Outstanding job, and to you, sir, I say cowabunga. You nailed it.
Thank you, James. Excellent job by both evaluators. Mr. Timer, may we receive a timer's report?
Yes, you may. Toni G spoke for 3 minutes and 20 seconds. James spoke for 3 minutes. Both of them qualified for the best evaluator.
Please take your slip with the best evaluator on it. Cast your vote, and our very own Renju, stepping into a role from day one, will come around and collect those. Before I launch into my general evaluator report, I would like to hear from a couple of our functionaries. We will start out this evening with our grammarian for the second week in a row, Mr. Alan Lamphere.
Excellent job. I heard the word of the day from everybody except Charlie and Steve and Susan. So, have to pay up at the end of the night. And lots of colorful words tonight. Charlie throwing one hell of a party out there. And Julian, you're just a colorful person overall. Count all those. And Gail, I really like the closet bikini wearer dudette. And Mark, I like the shark repellent. I might need some of that sometime. And Steve, just soaring high like usual. And I like that you said that we were all on equal footing. And James, hey, 1,000 reasons to join Toastmasters, but like you said, open container isn't one of them. And Llinda, you're always gainfully looking, and this is the way to do it. I like that. And you had put up your dukes, so very good for the Rocky Balboa idea. So, and John, the best time is the time you couldn't remember. I like it. So. Excellent job. Cowabunga, dude. Love it. This is my best.
Thank you, Alan, and it's truly a joy to see you growing week in and week out in your participation and your fun you're having. Wonderful job. Sarah, we would love to hear your Akata report.
So I'll run through the names, starting with you, Jonathan. Nothing, perfect. Gail was perfect. Julian had 1 R, 7 double clutches, and 3 under the bridge words. Llinda.
We're glad you're back.
5 R's and ums, 4 double clutches. Tony's perfect. James had 1 double clutch. Stephen was perfect. Susan was perfect. Mark had 1 bridge word. Alan had 7 under the R and ums, and I had 1. Ruined myself. And 3 bridge words. And that's my report.
Thank you, Sarah. I would be happy to collect her fines this evening, as our treasurer is fighting the flu. And it looks like we'll have a pretty hefty bounty tonight, Alan. I'm thinking I might be able to go to the beach and have a trip myself. And now for my general evaluator report, and I really apologize, folks, for doing this, but I have to do it one time as I wrote it down. Cowabunga, dudes! Great job tonight. And Alan, I regret suggesting that word to you. I'm going to be hearing it. I'm going to be hearing it in my sleep tonight, without a doubt. It's like that song I can't quit singing. And I'm about to butcher this grammatically, we hanged 10 with a gnarly start time. We got in with a photo finish. It was an epic, raw topic by Bodie Julian. I will tell you this, though. Personally, I don't know what a mandingo is. And I had a hard time focusing the entire evening, wondering what I might see. Brah, I would have liked to have heard the agenda adjustments in the beginning. I know that it must have been driving our secretary wild. The introduction, you're killing me. The introductions this evening, we have shot a 180 on the introductions. It was a sweet display of great introduction after great introduction. Everybody that came up to the front this evening, I wanted to know what you had to say, starting with that great introduction. If you're thinking about taking a role in the future and you wonder if it might take an introduction, just feel free to get with one of the senior members. Llinda, Stephen, I was so stoked when I saw you guys in the pipeline getting ready to speak. It was like I was at the Big Kahuna Championships in Hawaii again just last year. Epic jobs. We had a very unorthodox order this evening with the way the thought and the pledge was done in the educational. But man, the way this club makes adjustments, it worked, and I really appreciated it. And there was something that Gail said that is so true. The part about the friendships that you develop here, I can't speak for everyone, but that truly is the best part for me. Table topics. Love the way you stepped in, Susan. Love the way that you wore the beach attire. I want to take a moment and say I love the way the people that played all out. Friends, you're in safety here. This is definitely the place to let your stress melt away, let your walls come down, and play all out. I can only analogize it by saying it's just like riding down the face of a 20-foot wave with great whites in tow and a school of jellyfish under you. Your life will never be the same. So play all out. And if you didn't get the memo that it was beach party, maybe that's something as a club that we need to adjust as a whole. Our evaluators tonight, it truly was a bodacious job by the both of you. I really wanted to sit out that vote. It was like an all-star game. One thing I love about this club, I never believed that there was any such thing as team. I thought it was a myth that was created. But week in and week out in this club, you know, I see teamwork. And I know we were scrambling to the last second, filling in for some people that were sick, filling in for people that were stuck in traffic. And it's really a thing of beauty. And if you're sitting there thinking, because we're getting ready to do roles, just go out on a limb tonight and sign up for something different. You will not regret it. Life will never be the same. Teamwork is in full effect here. And that is all I have this evening. Julian, I love the job you did tonight. I think you're legendary. And we're so glad you're back and feeling good. Now I'm going to step into my presidential role, and I'm going to announce myself back up to the podium. So here, stepping back into the presidency role, myself. There is a sheet being passed around with roles on it. I think it might have died at this table here. If Alan, you might, or somebody step it up here. Let's get ourselves squared away for next week.
Most improved.
Oh, yes. Always forget that. You should have another slip, and if you don't, just rip it off and put it anywhere. It's the only one that's going to be being cast here. Take a moment and vote for the Toastmaster that you thought was most improved, and it could be in any role that you saw on display this evening. A functionary, a speaker, an evaluator, Toastmaster. Cast your vote for most improved, and thank you, Susan, for getting me in alignment with there. We are going to have an unbelievable meeting next week, and I have inside information, but I'm not going to spoil the secret. I'm going to just give you the sizzle. We're going to have 3 speakers next week. They're going to be awesome. So come and don't come alone. We need, though, next week, we need a table topics master. Is there anyone out in the audience?
Didn't I sign up for that?
Well, dear, if you did, You signed up in the wrong day. Llinda. No, I don't see you on there.
Sign her up.
Thank you. Perfect.
Sign her
I'm
up.
not leaving the lectern. We have a general evaluator. We have 3 blank evaluator roles.
I think, actually, I put down there that I wasn't gonna make it, but I think I may be able to make it pretty sure.
Stephen?
So I'll be not evaluating.
Thank you, brother. So we have Stephen, Charlie, and you know what? I'm sure that Mickey will be happy to do that. And awesome. The only thing we need is a grammarian. Anyone out there that's not signed up for something?
Am I signed up for something?
Susan? No.
I can do it.
Thank you, Susan. We have an incredibly full slate next week. And once again, it's going to be awesome. Gail is going to be our Toastmaster. And the theme is going to be stepping up into leadership. Stepping up into leadership. Some announcements before we have our awards. Debbie, we would love to hear from you. You were right in the middle of everything. What you thought about tonight? We'd love to get your opinion.
Thank you so much for, wow, I did not anticipate my opinion being asked for. So thank you. But I'm I'm amused. Get it all out now.
Sign her up.
I enjoyed it very much. Very, very much. I like the speeches. I also really like that everyone has a different role and that they obviously change from week to week. So you can be doing lots and lots of different things. The having your speech evaluated almost immediately after you do it, it's a marvelous thing, I think. And the camaraderie seems really nice. It seems a very supportive environment. So, thank you.
Debbie, we truly loved having you here, and I really want to invite you to come and check out next week as well. And maybe even as a member of that soon, but we'll be happy to connect with you at the end. Stephen, yes sir.
Announcement. Our club is part of Division D. Then our Division D governors decided he wants to have a party coming up to the end of the Toastmasters year. So on June 14th in Gemini Park in DeBerry at noon, there'll be a cookout from noon to 5. And he wants to get everyone from Division D, and I'm sure everyone else, bring whoever else you like, to it. Unfortunately, I can't be there because I won't be in town. But enjoy and take part in it. Gemini Park.
Saturday?
Yes, Saturday, June 14th, Gemini Park, DeLand at noon.
Land or DeBerry?
Sorry, DeBerry.
And it's DY everything. Do you bring your own food, beverage?
I don't actually know. He says it's a cookout.
Thank you, Stephen.
bikini.
Bring
Yes.
It's still big
BYOB,
closet.
bikini.
Do we have any other announcements from the floor? Please, Gail, yes. I think we're in the same
As president,
page
are
right
you going to say anything about the elections and all that good stuff? Okay.
I knew we were on the same page there. I was just going to say, I wanted to bookend off what Gail was saying. I'll admit it. I was very hesitant about taking anything additional on in my life when I accepted the role of president, and it has been a challenge, but you know, when you go to bed at night and you're really contributing and you're outwardly focused, you know, I've slept better, I've become a better person. Sometimes the result you think that you're going to get isn't what you end up with. What you end up with, you end up finding out is far better. So I've been honored. So we sometimes put walls around us, you know, to kind of keep in what we want to keep in and keep out what we keep out, but strongly consider it. That's right, Alan, I am looking at you. And next week, I know with Mickey, and we've had some emails passing back and forth, we're going to really start aggressively pursuing the next slate of officers. And no one leaves you hanging either. The support and teamwork in here is, like I said, once again, it's incredible. And we're going to organize a great banquet as well. It'll be held in June. We're still trying to finalize a date.
Not the last.
It should be the
Not the
last
last
Wednesday of June.
Yeah, if it's no conflict.
And I apologize, because I had thought it was in July. I misunderstood Tony, so whatever we say is what it's going to be, the last Wednesday of June. Okay, so we can book that, and it's going to be the last Wednesday of June.
June 25th.
June 25th. Once again, something you definitely want to attend.
Yeah, you shouldn't listen to anything Toni tells you when she's on painkillers.
I take full responsibility. But dude, it'll be one of the coolest things that you ever did. You get to work with some neat people, and you're the average of the people you hang out with, and I know that my averages went way up since I've been doing this, by far. Stephen, did I see your hand up? No, it was Gail.
Yeah. Since we have a banquet date, may I suggest that we see if there's anybody in the room that might want to chair that, to check off something in their leadership manual. I think there'll be the lead time.
Be thinking about it. You don't have to answer. Take your time. Think about it. It'll be a team event. You won't be on alone on a desert island. Be thinking about that. Any other announcements? I see no. Yes, Ms.
I'm just
Gill.
thinking about the banquet. We've had one here before, but you may want to just clear that. That's how we're going to use the room. There will be food and just check on the arrangement of furniture and stuff.
Perfect. Okay. We're going to hand out some awards now. One of my favorite times, the recognition part. We do love to be recognized. So may we have a drum roll as we hand out the award, known as the Tim Chastain Award, for outstanding contribution to this meeting. And it was a beautiful scene that Susan stepped in and played all out. So she's our Tim Chastain Award. Let's keep that drum roll going. We've got a most improved Toastmaster this evening. And when I saw it, it was her best speech ever. It was fantastic. And that goes to Llinda.
Scrapbook.
Yes, more fodder.
Table Topics Award winner this evening. Drum roll, please. Somebody named Jonathan Dunn. And our best evaluator this evening, the bionic woman herself, Toni G. Great job. Best speaker, and I'm not going to say it. Our final